no satellite trucks or 4G internet. As much as we know of that night, so much more lives in the memories and spirits of people who are defined by the words brave, courageous, and proud. There's no single story to follow. There is, however, a collective legacy.
So, 50 years later, one thing is certain. You are here. We are together. There will be no uncertainty as to whether or not this moment happened and how it played out. Tonight, you are all a part of history. We are gathered during the world's largest gathering of LGBTQIA+ people and our allies. As we stand in solidarity on this historic evening, members of our community will speak from their backgrounds, from their lives, from their stories, truth to power. Like the Stonewall era trailblazers, they press forward to fight for our community's equality across the world. We're honored to have all of you here. As you celebrate your life this weekend, remember to commemorate those who fought to get us here. Welcome to World Pride 2019. This is Stonewall 50.
Hello, New York City. Hello, the world. Woo! It is my sincere pleasure to hold the title of Rally Director for New York City Pride. And I am so thrilled to be standing on this stage. Behind me are just a few of the people who have made this event possible. I want to give a special shout out to Amanda, to Matt, to Emily, to Chris, David, Marianne, who just spoke, and all of the people standing behind this banner, and all of the people that are volunteering for us this weekend, throughout the year, and throughout our past and into our future. Thank you very, very much. We are nothing without our community. We are nothing without our team, and we are nothing when we don't consider ourselves a family. On top of that, please, my wish to you this weekend and throughout the rest of your lives, stay safe, have fun, be gentle and kind to yourselves and each other, and please enjoy tonight's amazing lineup of speakers here at the Stonewall 50 Commemoration Rally. Thank you. Up next, I am thrilled to introduce a really amazing woman, an incredible politician, someone who has fought for our rights, and someone I am just so entirely amazed to meet backstage, Senator Gillibrand.
Hello, New York City Pride! There is no place that's better than New York City for Pride celebrations. Right here, celebrating Pride at the Stonewall Inn, we have the ability to start the national conversation about the future of gay rights in America and the fights we are taking forward and the fights we will achieve. And this is what it's about. It's about our voices. Right here, 50 years ago, this is where it all started. Our community rose up and fought back. People were willing to risk everything, their lives, what they did, what they loved. They risked all of it. People here are willing to march today to continue to fight strong for what we believe in. And 50 years later, all those battles were not fought in vain. Gay marriage is now the law of the land. Don't ask, don't tell is in the dustbin of history. positive members are living longer, healthier lives, and I will fight to make sure PrEP is a right. Our Stonewall Inn is now a national monument. But we still have so much more to accomplish, which is why I am here. I will continue to lead the charge to make sure our transgender troops can serve in the U.S. military despite a president who does not support them. We will pass the Equality Act. We will make sure LGBTQ+ community members cannot be discriminated against in housing, in jobs, in adoption, in every federal way. We need to make sure that everyday discrimination of our LGBTQ+ brothers and sisters stop, whether it's profiling by our police departments, whether it's discrimination by adoption agencies, whether it's discrimination by blood banks, whether it's just discrimination with the existence of conversion therapy. Let's ban it. I will lead the charge for a federal identification for an X so you can identify as you see fit. So I just want to close with this. We are a moment in our nation's history where your voices matter more now than ever before. We're at a place where rights are being taken away through the courts, in our media, state by state, conservative legislatures after conservative legislatures. If we do not fight today to be heard with our voices and with our votes, we will lose the progress of the last 50 years. We must not grow weary. We must not grow tired. We must never give up. We must never give in, and we must march on. God bless you all in New York City. Happy Pride.
Another wonderful person who is fighting for us across this great nation. Please welcome Congressman Jerrold Nadler.
Thank you very much. I am here to deliver a message on behalf of the United States House of Representatives because the rest of our federal government won't do it. That message is Happy Pride. Much of the history of the United States has been a history of expanding the understanding of who we meant when the Declaration of Independence in 1776 said that all men are created equal. When that Declaration of Independence was written, that phrase, all men are created equal, certainly did not include black men or Latino men or Native Americans or women, and it certainly did not include LGBTQ people. But we have, over time and through great effort and great struggle, expanded the definition of who is regarded as equal by the laws of this country. 4 years ago, we accomplished what people would have thought unimaginable. We achieved marriage equality. But it is still legal in this country, in many, many states, for someone to read in the newspaper that a gay couple got married and call the one in and fire him the next day for the crime of being a gay person. That will not stand. The struggle continues. A few weeks ago, we passed, first in the Judiciary Committee, which I chair, and then in the House, we passed the Equality Act, the first ever comprehensive LGBTQ civil rights bill that outlaws discrimination against LGBTQ people in housing and employment, in just about anything. We passed it in the House, and we will pass it into law. But that will require further struggle. But the struggle must continue. We have a lot further to go, and we will be standing with you every step of the way until I can bring you a greeting, not just from the House of Representatives, but from the Senate of the United States and the Presidency of the United States. And hold up a copy of the Equality Act that says signed into law. For Stonewall's 50th, we should take a moment to remember that it has been the Marsha Johnsons of the world, the Sylvia Riveras of the world, the Audre Lordes of the world, who stood up here and showed the rest of America the way. Let's honor them with action. Let's continue to honor them with action. We'll see you in the halls of Congress. We'll see you in the voting booths. We'll see you in the streets. We will prevail. Thank you very much.
Our efforts this year would not be possible without the great support of city and state agencies working behind the scenes to ensure everyone experiences millions of moments of pride. And what would pride be without the Stonewall Inn? Right over there. What sort of anniversary would it be if that glowing red neon sign were not illuminating Christopher Street night after night after night? 50 years after these very streets erupted into unrest for the sake of equality, the world still has a Stonewall Inn. It remains a gathering place for the LGBTQIA+ community in times of joy, in times of sorrow. And here we are, again tonight, together at Stonewall. Tonight, Heritage of Pride is honored to be part of a special moment for our community and two amazing friends of our organization whose passion and dedication and talent helps keep that neon sign on. Here to make that moment official is a fierce ally and advocate in our city's highest office. Please give a moment for me to stretch. This is how fucking pride works, people. Always going by the seat of your pants. And thank you for working with us. How many of you have come to us from overseas? Make some noise. How many of you are coming from inside the United States? Who has the pleasure of calling one of these 5 boroughs home?
Where are all my Jersey people?
We are so honored to welcome everyone. A big shout out to our Interpride members who are in the audience tonight, the international collection of Pride organizers from across the world. They're the ones who grant us the license for this World Pride title that everyone is getting to enjoy this weekend, and we are so excited. World Pride, Interpride, make some noise. I see some of you. I see a lot of faces out there I recognize. Well, have no jokes on we could tell you millions of jokes, millions of moments of pride. What we will tell you is to talk more about World Pride very quickly. If you didn't know this title of World Pride is something that was awarded to Heritage of Pride in 2015 in Las Vegas on behalf of the Interpride member organization. And prior to that, it had been around for a few years, most recently in Madrid, and also Toronto, London, Jerusalem, and of course, Rome, where it started. That Rome occasion was in the year 2000. However, in 1997, a group of Interpride members met here for their annual convention to create the title of World Pride. So interestingly enough, as we stand here this evening, all these years later, World Pride has in fact returned home right here to New York City where it was created. The people that we are about to introduce to you tonight have been really great to our organization. They partner with us, they partner with the community. You're going to hear so much more about them and everything that they have done over the years, not just to keep Stonewall going as a bar, as an organization, but as a place for us to gather. And as their work has continued to push more and more into philanthropy, and they have done more to reach out with their powers to push more and more of our community into the spotlight, we are so thankful that they are here. And with all of that, and with those wonderful fun stories, you will not have to hear from me again the rest of this evening, because there are so many other people that are super excited to come up here, and one of them is here with us right now. Please give a warm, warm World Pride welcome to the Mayor of New York City, Bill de Blasio.
Happy Pride, everybody! I can't hear you. Happy Pride! I believe we are about to have the greatest Pride celebration in the history of this globe. And we remember one night in our history, when a brave group of individuals said, enough is enough. And they stood up, and they rebelled, and they organized, and they triumphed. And you, everyone here today, everyone is living a better life because they stood up for all of us, didn't they? I want to hear a thunderous applause for the heroes of Stonewall 1969. I want to report to you from the stage that was pretty damn thunderous. Well done. All right. Are you ready for the biggest Pride event ever? Are you ready to keep the flame of revolution burning bright? Because this movement needs to stay alive, doesn't it? I want to tell you, I have a tremendous special honor. I am the mayor of the largest LGBT community on the face of the earth, and I am proud of that. We are proud of that. We should be so proud of how far we have come, because remember when they said the love that dare not speak its name? Now we can shout that love from every rooftop, can't we? People are free to be themselves, but wait, and this is where I gotta be serious for a moment with all of us. People have been free to be themselves, but now there are some who want to take us backwards, aren't there? There are some who want to take us backwards. We see people trying to take away the rights of the LGBT community. We see our trans brothers and sisters being excluded from our military, even though all they want to do is serve their nation. We see, and I hate to have to say this out loud, but I will, we see a white supremacy movement in this country. And I tell you, if you're from the LGBT community, you should be afraid of that white supremacy movement. If you're from the black community, you should be afraid of that white supremacy movement. If you're from the Latino community, you should be afraid of that white supremacy movement, or the Asian community, or the Native community, or if you're a woman, or if you're a Jew, or if you're a Muslim. Because that white supremacy movement is trying to strip away all the progress we all have made together. But they didn't remember one thing. They didn't remember that that spirit of Stonewall is alive and well, and we are ready to fight back, aren't we? So I want to say to everybody, in New York City, we have proven that when you give rights to more and more people, everyone benefits. When you respect more and more people, the whole community gets stronger. You know, we believe in New York that people get to choose which bathroom they want to use. And guess what? The sky didn't fall. We believe that a person has a right to have a birth certificate that actually shows their real identity as they believe it to be. We believe we have to honor our LGBT seniors who fought for all of us. And we need to embrace every young person, and if a young person, God forbid, they are ever shunned by their own family. And everyone here knows. Everyone knows someone who was turned out by their own family. I cannot think of anything more awful or unfair or unloving than to turn out your own child. But here in New York, if their family turns them out, we say, you are ours now. You're all of us. We belong to each other. But today we're also going to devote ourselves to going farther, because for trans people in this city, in this nation, we still have to do more to bring freedom and respect. For non-binary people, we have to do more to bring respect, understanding, and support. And I have to say this from the bottom of my heart, we need justice for Layleen Polanco. We need to know what happened to her. It should never have happened. She should never have been in jail to begin with. I finally want to say to you, we announced something a few weeks ago that is the first in the world. In this city, we are honoring heroes who got ignored, who were taken out of the history books, who were not given their place, but they led the way too. In this city soon will be the first statues anywhere in the world of trans heroes who helped fight for the liberation of everybody. Give your love to the memory of Marsha P. Johnson. Give your love to the memory of Sylvia Rivera. They helped to write history, but you know what they expect of every one of us? Look up as I say this to honor them. They expect us to write the next chapter of history. They expect us to look out for whoever is being oppressed and stand up for them. They expect New York to be a beacon for this world, and we all have to make it that beacon. And this is a city that's proud of the fact that we speak more than one language. En español, nuestra ciudad está orgulloso de ser el lugar donde nació el movimiento de derechos civiles de la comunidad LGBT. I cheated there a little. Hoy honramos al Stonewall y los héroes que acabaron con una injusticia aquí hace 50 años. Lugares como Stonewall nos recuerdan que cada uno de nosotros tiene el poder de cambiar la historia. We remember places like Stonewall because they remind us that each one of us has the power to change history. Now join me in welcoming two people who have done something wonderful. They are activists in this community, and they are two of the owners of Stonewall, Stacy Lentz and Kurt Kelly. And they helped to save the Stonewall Inn when it was in danger of closing. They helped to save it for all of us. And behind them tonight, joining us on stage, some of the brave people who were there 50 years ago, some of the heroes. Marvel Comics has nothing on these heroes. I have the honor of issuing a proclamation today on behalf of 8.6 million New Yorkers. Are you ready? I'm not going to read it to you, except the last line, because I think it's the one you'll like the best now. I, Bill de Blasio, Mayor of the City of New York, do hereby proclaim Friday, June 28, 2019, the City of New York as Stonewall Day. Happy Pride.
Thank you. Thank you. First of all, thank you, Mayor de Blasio. Another round of applause for our mayor. Thank you so much. This is incredible. And first of all, man, what an honor to be standing on stage of the actual heroes of this night. Vets that were here this day. Without what those particular brave men and women did at this very spot in 1969, on this very day, 50 years ago, we would not have many of the rights we have today. We must never forget our history. If we don't know our history, there's no way we can change our future. We have to remember this and honor them at every chance. The main thing I want you guys to take away from World Pride is we have these amazing events, these amazing parties. Yes, it's time to celebrate the progress. Yes, it's time to honor the brave men and women and honor our past and progress. But the fight is not over, and we have to recommit. Everybody here has to recommit to standing together as one community. No infighting based on gender, race, religion, or for our trans brothers and sisters. We are one people, and that's how we're going to make progress. And as we're celebrating, let's not forget what some of that progress means. Here in America, in 28 states, you can still be fired for being LGBTQ. Literally, you could get married on a Friday and be fired on Monday. So we've also got to remember that we have the opportunity when we go out to the ballot box to make that change. That's everyone here. Also, we had people that were welcoming from around the world today. We have to remember that a lot of you may come from countries where being LGBTQ is still criminalized. It's criminalized in 69 countries still. We've got to fight back and make that change. So on behalf of my partners, that we're honored that we got the opportunity to keep the legacy alive of what those brave men and women did in 1969 through the Stonewall Inn and using it as a vehicle and putting it back at the forefront of gay rights and not just remembering its history. And we thank you all for being here. Happy Pride and keep up the fight.
Hello, 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 everybody, make some noise! Hello! Happy World Pride! Hello, everybody, we are so excited to be here. We are Stephanie's Child, New York City's premier live singing trio. Are y'all ready for a little show? All right, all right. Well, my name is Laguna Blue. My name is Jan Sport, just like the backpack with a lifetime guarantee.
And I'm absolutely delicious, especially when chilled. It's me, Rose.
All right, all right, all right. Are you ready, ladies?
Yes,
Hit
let's
it.
do it, baby.
Yes, yes, yes. Are you as excited as we are? Yes. When we say happy, you say pride. Happy. Happy. And when we say world, you say pride. World. World. Yes. Oh my goodness. We're so excited to be here, and we have such an incredible lineup of speakers and performers tonight. Oh my God, we're so excited. Our next guest, she is a Out 100 honoree. She was just named number 64 on the Pride Power 100.
That's right, and she is also an advisor on the Mayor's Nightlife Board.
All right. Please make some noise for our sister, Marty Gold Cummings.
All right, New York City! Happy Pride. All right, I don't need this. I changed my mind. All right, happy Pride. How we feeling? Today is the 50th anniversary of the Stonewall Uprising, a movement led by a black drag queen and a Latina transgendered woman. Two people who stood up and spoke out on 50 years of pride. This day, June 28th, Transgender Day of Remembrance. We as an LGBTQIA+ community need to fight now more than ever, as the rights of our community are rolled back, as transgendered people aren't allowed to serve in the military, as 28 states tell us we can be fired for being who we are, as 6 trans women of color have been murdered this month alone. It's an epidemic, and we must fight for our community now. 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 I look out at this group of thousands of people gathered where the movement for our community started, and I can't help but feel gratitude and emotion to see the diverse faces, to see the generations coming together. LGBTQ people make up every group of people. We make up every economic background, every religion, every race. We are to be united and not divided. And if you are a straight person here today, use your privilege to speak out for the oppression that is happening to us today. We live in the greatest city in the world, but we have to remember that the rights of our family in Chechnya are being rolled back as they are detained in concentration camps and killed. We have to fight for them. We have to fight for our friends and family at the border who are trying to seek a better life. We have to fight for women whose rights are being rolled back in states by the old white man who holds us down. LGBTQIA rights are human rights, and I will never be silent, and you should never be silent until equality is the land of the law. This is our moment. This is our moment to show the world that we are a united people who will never, ever, ever back down to xenophobia, racism, misogyny, transphobia, and bigotry. I stand here before you today, a drag queen who grew up on a farm in Maryland. I moved to New York City when I was 17 years old. I wanted to be a performer, and the universe said, your path is activism. You have a platform and a microphone, and it is your obligation to use it. And whether or not you have 1 follower or 1 million followers, your voice matters, and it counts. Because today, the Trevor Project has had the highest spike in calls from young people who are scared and want to take their life. And all it takes is 1 grown person to tell them they matter and they belong here. We must not only fight for our young people, but the generation that came before us. We must not forget the pioneers who fought for us at Stonewall, at Mattachine, and around the world. The older generation are the gatekeepers to our equality, and we must listen and be in gratitude for their service and dedication to our cause. And at 50 years of Stonewall, we march for the community we lost all those years ago who cannot be with us today, as their voice was silenced by Reagan and Bush, who ignored an epidemic that wiped our community out. I look at this diverse group of people, and I know that each of you has an opportunity to get a clipboard, take to the streets, volunteer for a candidate, or run for office yourself. If the job isn't getting done, get it done yourself. And I plan on getting that job done when I run. I love you. Happy Pride. Be safe. And remember, Pride is a protest. Thank you.
Yo, give it up one more time for Moreno Cummings! Such powerful words, powerful words. You're incredible. Our next speaker, powerhouse two-spirit singer-songwriter Shawnee, is using her music as medicine to empower the same way it did for her. Her voice is strikingly powerful, filled with soul. She uses her music to carry her message of hope and inspiration. Please welcome to the stage, Shawnee!
Whoa, World Pride, New York Pride, 50th Stonewall Rally. I'm freaking out a little bit. I have some music for you guys. This first song that I'm gonna do is, I'd like to acknowledge my Two-Spirit family, Two-Spirit people. Together we are on a journey to find our, to reclaim our indigenous history and our culture back. And together, we are on that journey, and we walk that path together. Historically, traditionally, Two-Spirit people were in the community looked at as healers and people with strength, people who walked in both worlds and understood that, and they were honored in the community. So this song is for you. Yeah, yeah. Oh, higher, higher. Oh, higher, higher, higher. Oh, higher, higher, higher. Oh, higher, oh, higher, higher. Play, remember, love knows no limits. The meaning of the spirit fire. Feet don't fail me now. Freedom to claim back to the place we find our way home. We find our way oh, higher, higher. Oh, higher, higher, higher. Oh, higher, higher, higher. Oh, higher, higher. Love, listen, 'cause spirits talk, they carry the walk around the flame. Oh, remembering the way, find the path to the way back, and we find our way home. We find our way home. Ooh. on. Thank you, Yahweh. Okay, we're gonna do one more. This song, I would like to dedicate to all of you here. My Pride people, this is very beautiful. It's very magical. I feel so lucky. I feel so blessed to be here. I feel blessed to be Two-Spirit. But what I want to say is anybody out there who can hear my voice, who can hear your voice, sees your face, hears your passion, hears your love, shares your gifts, I want them to know that you too are beautiful, you matter in the world, we want you here, we are your family, and you have a place no matter where you live, no matter what people believe in, no matter what they tell you, no matter what you come up against, we are here, we are your family, and thanks to Linda Perry, we're gonna sing What's Up, and I hope you'll sing it with me. You guys ready? Because I feel like you are. The words are really easy. Here we go. 25 years in my life is still trying to get up that great big kilo for, there you go, for a destination. I realized quickly that I knew I should, and the world was made up of this brotherhood of man, yeah, for whatever that means. And so I wake in the morning and I step outside and I take a deep breath. I get real high and I scream to the top of my lungs, what's going on, yeah, and I say, in hell, what's going on? I said, I was in hell, what's going on? Yeah, I tried, oh my God, I try all the time. In this institution, I pray, oh my God, I pray every single day for revolution. And I wake in the morning and I step outside and I take a deep breath, get real high, and I scream at the top of my lungs, what's going, come on, New York, I say. I said, hell, what's going on? I said, yeah. I said, hell, what's going on? This is for pride. This is for you. This is for the people around you. This is for the people who feel like they don't have a voice. I know you guys can be louder than that. We got about a minute and 20 left. Come on! Yeah. Okay, this is you now. Ready?
Here we go. I said, one more time. I said, what's going on? 25 years and my life is still trying to get up that great big heel of hope. Happy Pride.
Everybody, please make some noise for Shawnee! And give it up for yourselves. Y'all sound so beautiful out there. Y'all feeling good? All right, y'all. Please welcome to the stage your next speakers. We have Barbara Coma, the owner of the Pulse nightclub and the founder of the One Pulse Foundation, and Nima. Please welcome them to the stage.
Well, happy Pride. Can you hear me? Because I tend to be a little soft-spoken. Happy Pride, New York City. Happy Pride to the world. You know, just after the shooting at Pulse, Nima and I were welcomed here to this amazing city to join New York City's Pride Rally. We were still in shock, living in a fog, and you all embraced us. We returned to this historic Stonewall rally for World Pride, and while we're not living in shock and fog anymore, we, just like our angels' families, the survivors, the first responders, and you, carry the trauma of what happened at Pulse with us every single day. Being here to mark the 50th year since the uprising at Stonewall is nothing short than a measure of how much the LGBTQ+ community and the ally community has accomplished. And while I was just a newborn baby when Stonewall occurred, I spent my life growing up with a gay brother, and I bore witness to his struggles, his coming out story, his being told he could not be a boyfriend to dinner, his hiding his daily life, trying on my clothes and makeup while he thought I was sleeping. I watched people looking at him and treating him different back in the 80s just because he was gay. I watched as the nurses in the hospital would not enter his room to feed him or care for him because he was dying of HIV/AIDS complications. Since his death in 1991, I have watched as each victory for this LGBTQ+ community had been won. And I thought how I wished he was here to see it. He deserved to experience life on this earth as a gay man who could get married and have a family of his own. I could never have imagined that 28 years since I lost John, that I would be witnessing such unity and acceptance. We see the LGBTQ+ community on TV, in the films, in ads, on billboards, holding hands in public, and holding drag story time at the libraries. I could also never have imagined that in that time of such growth and progress, that something so horrific that happened in a small gay bar in Orlando, Florida. What happened at Pulse rocked not only the Orlando community, but a global community to its core. It is this generation's Stonewall moment. And 3 years later, we are still picking up the pieces in Orlando. Orlando is still united. Our families and survivors do not want to be forgotten by you, and your continued support of them means the world. It is our job to make sure that we not only say their names on June 12th, but that we carry their legacies each and every day. Pulse's tragedy and conversations
started everywhere after that. People started talking about what it meant to be LGBTQ in the African American world and in the Latin world. We talked about gun violence. We talked about terrorism. We talked about immigration. And we talk about faith. It is our charge to keep these conversations going so that they did not die in vain. We know that gay bars were safe spaces before that word was coined. We know our children should be safe in their schools, and you should be safe at church, and you should be safe at concerts. But it is this community that defined that word generations ago. And so it is now our responsibility to provide safe spaces to have these communications, to have these conversations, and to make change. While attending last year's Out and Equal conference in Seattle, I heard a speaker say a quote that meant so much to me. Progress is fragile, and progress is not irreversible. And it's going to take every single one of us to make sure that we stand up and speak out so that history will not repeat itself. We in Orlando, we're building a national memorial museum to tell the story of Pulse long after we are gone. It is our responsibility to make sure that everyone knows what happened at Pulse and part of this LGBTQ history so that they don't get it wrong. It will not be washed away, I promise you that. There is so much work to still be done, but for the younger generation who were not born during Stonewall, not born during the AIDS epidemic, or around for the fight of each and every civil right that we fight for, or for the massacre at Pulse, I beg you to immerse yourself in the history so those who have fought, who have lobbied, and died did not do so in vain. They mattered. Our 49 mattered.
Wow, that was good. World Pride, make some noise! Sometimes in our lives, we forget to say two simple words that make others know how much we appreciate them. These words are, thank you. We stand on your shoulders because you are the reason we are free. We thank you. You allowed us to live our authentic lives by giving us courage. We thank you. We are empowered by your heroic ways that taught us fear is not an option. We thank you. We march daily being reminded of the struggles you endured. We thank you. I am grateful to have heroes to learn from, to make us proud to be members of the LGBTQ+ community. We thank you. We are eternally grateful and thankful to our heroes who 50 years ago threw bottles, bricks, and high heels to give us the freedom we know. We thank you. And to our beloved heroes who gave their lives so that we could enjoy ours, we can never thank you enough. I want you all to do something special for me tonight because we are spreading love. I want you to turn to the person to the left of you, then the right of you, give them a hug and say, thank you, I love you. Spread the love, World Pride 2019. We at Pulse Orlando and the Orlando community love you. One love!
Yes, spread that love, babies. Hi, everyone. It's me. I'm back, Rose. One more time, make some noise for our last speaker, Barbara Poma, and also Nima. Our next speaker has been working hard for marriage equality since 1998, serving as the board president for Marriage Equality USA. She currently serves on the steering committee for Gays Against Guns. Please, New York City, welcome to the stage our next speaker, Kathy Moreno Thomas.
Hello, New York. Long time no see. Thank you so much for inviting us here today. Gays Against Guns was formed immediately after the Orlando Pulse nightclub shooting in 2016. We're dedicated to using direct action to insist that the gun violence must be addressed as the public health crisis that it is. Standing here with me are the Gays Against Guns human beings, HBs as we call them. HBs stand in silent protest, honoring people who were killed in senseless gun violence. Today, we honor our trans siblings murdered with a gun in 2019 only, and our siblings massacred at the Pulse nightclub in 2016 when a man with a semi-automatic rifle and a semi-automatic handgun came into our safe space and took their lives. Please honor them for one moment. Gun violence is an epidemic. Our community is very familiar with epidemics, the AIDS epidemic in particular. I wish it wasn't easy to compare the two. However, it's very easy. Both epidemics disproportionately affect marginalized communities, especially people of color and the LGBTQ community. Both epidemics come against the wall that is our Congress. There are over 38,000 new diagnoses of HIV and AIDS in the United States every year. There are approximately the same number of people killed in the US with a gun every year. Another tragic similarity is that the CDC has to be pushed to study HIV and AIDS, and they must be pushed again to study gun violence as the public health issue it is. To treat any epidemic, you must study how it's transmitted and develop a contagion model, but the CDC can't do that. After an earlier study found that guns in the home were associated with an increased risk of homicide, the NRA embarked on a massive, successful campaign to block any further studies that might advocate or promote gun control. We cannot let this stand. Much like HIV and AIDS activists did 30 years ago, gagtivists are confronting policymakers in Congress and scientists at the CDC with the fact that they are not doing their jobs. The CDC is supposed to work to prevent health crises. Congress is supposed to fund research to that end. The CDC still cannot use federal funds to investigate gun violence. And the popular outcry has not been strong enough to challenge this. When ACT UP stormed the CDC in Atlanta and the National Institute of Health in Washington, D.C. in 1990, they used banners, costumes, and lots of noise to compel these organizations to pay attention. Much like our predecessors in the HIV and AIDS treatment struggle, Gays Against Guns realizes negotiations are no longer on the table. So we have embraced our outsider status and put our bodies on the line. We've borrowed many of ACT UP's unmistakable tactics. We use die-ins, bawdy chants, signs, political performance, media-savvy messaging, our heartbreaking HBs, and we get arrested when necessary. All this to force the public and the government to address gun violence as a public health crisis. Ultimately, AIDS activists were victorious when their boisterous, fact-based tactics humanized the conversation around HIV policy and pressured policymakers to take their demands for research and treatment seriously. it will take similar efforts in the discussion of gun violence. All of us must unequivocally demand that our government implement systemic changes to America's broken gun policies. We need to push for change. We need to make it clear that the Second Amendment does not give us blanket license for these obscene policies. More guns is not the answer. The similarities are striking, but the answer is clear. We must once again get active. Will you take action? We must select our legislators that will move to make our streets safer from gun violence, and we must vote out those who take money from the NRA for their campaign. Will you vote? We must lobby. We must visit. We must write letters. We must call. We must insist that our elected officials respond to the very real public health crisis that is gun violence. Will you lobby? Our celebrities must get involved, as Madonna did this week, by supporting organizations like ours and like March for Your Lives. I know those images are hard to see, but we must see them. We know how to do this. This is not the time to sit home and worry. It is the time for action. Thank you all for listening to us, and thank you all for honoring our HBs. Please give them a round of applause. Thank you. Happy Pride to all of you. Enough! 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 I am somebody, and I deserve safer gun laws right here and right now. Thank you.
Please make some noise for Kathy Moreno Thomas and Gays Against Guns. Thank you.
Gays Against Guns.
Gays Against Guns. Say it. Gays Against Guns. Louder. Louder.
Thank you.
How are we doing, New York City World Pride? Okay, everybody. Please welcome to the stage your next speaker. During his 17 years with the National Parks Conservation Association, John Adornado III has advocated for places of unparalleled natural wonder and beauty, and historical significance and cultural value. From the Everglades to Stonewall, the NPCA led the campaign to designate Stonewall a national monument. Everybody, please welcome to the stage, John Adornado III.
Thank you, and happy Pride, New York City! My name is John Adornado, and I work for the National Parks Conservation Association, the national advocate for all national parks and monuments. We work to protect national parks and create new ones. We have fought for 100 years to protect places like Stonewall. We led the campaign to create the Stonewall National Monument to commemorate the world-famous uprising of Stonewall in 1969. 50 years ago today, our brothers and sisters stood here to fight against injustice and oppression, marking a fundamental change in the movement for LGBTQ rights. 3 years ago, President Obama proclaimed this site so important to those of us gathered here today to forever be recognized as the Stonewall National Monument, joining the family of icons like the Grand Canyon, Mount Rushmore, and the Statue of Liberty. Those places, amen. Those places are iconic, and they represent what they provide to the American people. Places of hope, beauty, joy, peace, and a sense of pride. Our LGBT history is American history, and it must be told. Our stories must be remembered and passed on to future generations. Icons of the LGBTQ movement like Sylvia Rivera and Marsha P. Johnson must be known. The sites where the most important events happen for our LGBTQ community must be preserved and celebrated. We come here to remember those we've lost during this struggle. We come to Stonewall to mourn. We come to Stonewall to celebrate. And we look to the future and use these lessons from Stonewall to imagine what a world might be for all of us and my little 6-year-old right there. Stonewall stands as a model for other places across America, which deserve formal recognition because of their part in our struggle for civil and human rights. There's no question that the stories these places hold should be protected, and there's no better organization to do that than the National Park Service. We will continue to use our voice to fight against injustice in all these forms, just as the patrons of Stonewall did 50 years ago today. Stonewall is the first national park to be created to tell this LGBTQ history, but not the last. I ask you to stand up and use your voice for our national parks, for recognizing places like Stonewall, so important to our movement, our history, and the future of queer Americans. For 100 years, NPCA has been working to protect these places that shaped our history, and today we are ready to protect them for 100 more. Join me and the National Parks Conservation Association to ensure we commemorate our colorful LGBTQ history. Tell your stories, know your history, shout it out loud for all to hear, and join us at npca.org. Thank you, and happy Pride, New York City and the world.
Let's hear it one more time for John Adornato III. Hey, everybody. All right, it's time to introduce our next speaker. Our next speaker has worked at senior levels in both the public and not-for-profit sector, working across social and affordable housing, homelessness, Aboriginal housing, disability, and health. She has had a long history of involvement in the LGBTQ activism commencing in 1975. Please help me, World Pride, introduce to the stage, it's Robin Kennedy.
Wow, what an amazing sight. It's quite incredible. And hello from Sydney, Australia. I want to tell you tonight a little bit about what we call Sydney's Stonewall. On the 24th of June, 1978, a few hundred Australian LGBTQI activists and allies held a nighttime street party to commemorate the 9th anniversary of the Stonewall Uprising. That night became known as Sydney's Stonewall. The group was violently attacked by police, resulting in 53 arrests and serious injuries. That night we held a vigil, all during the night, listening to the sounds of our friends, their screams from being beaten up inside. The names and personal details of those arrested were published in a Sydney newspaper, resulting in the loss of jobs, being kicked out of home, losing tenancies, and suicides. But like Stonewall, we kept fighting, holding vigils, demonstrations and marches over coming months. And by the end of August 1978, 178 people had been arrested. But change did eventually come through the efforts of pioneers like our 78ers. Our 78ers, like other pioneers like Stonewallers, took the fight back. They stood up in a time of widespread institutionalized violence, oppression, and discrimination. They refused to accept society's definition of us as a community. Refusing to accept anything less than full equality is as important today as it was 50 years ago. Today we pay tribute to the Stonewallers, but I would also like to pay tribute to the 15 Sydney 78ers that are here tonight. The 78ers and the Stonewallers showed incredible courage and commitment. What these pioneers experienced, what they faced, our shared past, is still happening right now all around the world. In South America, in Africa, in Asia Pacific, in Eastern Europe, the rights that we take for granted now are being denied to our communities in these regions. I will not stand by and let this continue. I ask you, will you stand by or stand up? I thank the Stonewallers for standing up for all of us. Happy Pride.
All right. How are we doing so far? Isn't it wonderful? Our next speaker is an incredibly beautiful British model, anti-bullying activist, a body-positive activist, a life coach, and motivational speaker who traveled here all the way from the London, UK. Please make some noise for Harnum Kaur!
Oh my Lord. Hello, New York City. Hi. Oh wow, look at you. Happy Pride, everyone. Happy Pride. I am so excited to be here. This is my first time in New York. I have been trying to get out here for ages, thank you. And honestly, as a motivational speaker, you have to be the most beautiful audience I've ever had. So vibrant, so beautiful. And do you know what, coming here, I work on vibes. And you know, being around people such as yourselves, I feel such positive energy. Such positive vibes, and the amount of love that I felt here has been amazing. And to be honest, I don't want to go home. And I don't want to go home. I feel like this is my home now, and I have never come across a community that is so open, that is so beautiful, that is so awesome, that it makes me want to cry. And we're celebrating 50 years now, and I feel like we also need to celebrate, for sure, but we also need to remember those people that aren't here with us. All those people that had to sacrifice their lives just so we can be who we are right now. Just so we can stand up and say, this is who we are, and we are here to fucking stay. We are unashamedly us, and we are not going anywhere. So you can either look at us and admire, or you can walk the hell on. Now, the most amazing thing about us as, you know, just being different, the most amazing thing about us is that we are needed. We are needed just as we are to make this society diverse. There are going to be people in our lives that will try and dull our shine. Why? Because we exude light, we exude awesomeness. There are going to be people in our lives that will not understand us. There are going to be people in our lives that would rather have us be normal. I see so much color here right now. What the fuck is normal? I don't get it. What's normal? You have a bearded lady up on stage right now. Like, what is normal? What is normal? And if anyone ever tells you, ever tells you to conform, stick your middle finger up at them, please. Stick your middle finger up at them. No, gosh no. Do you know there's people out there that have faced so much trauma, so much abuse to just now be who they are, unashamedly them. The hardest thing that we as people have to do is love ourselves as who we are. Imagine looking like me in a world where people would rather have me look like them. Fuck off, mate. I'm proud. I'm proud. I am so proud. And I don't just say that for myself. I want you to be able to look at yourself and just sort of contemplate the journey that you've gone through. We're here right now. Look at this. New York City is bustling with color. Look at the journey that we've been on just to now stand up and say, this is who we are, and we're not gonna dull our shine. Don't dim your light, baby. You're glorious. Don't dim your light. Don't dim your light. Life is way too short for us to conform. Life is way too short. Fuck rules and regulations. Life is way too short. Life is way too short to be bound by stereotypes and labels. And, you know, think about what other people say and then take that on into our lives. Life is way too short. Celebrate yours and celebrate it in the most amazing way, baby. Because you are here and you are vibrant, you're amazing. And do you know what? We're celebrating 50 years right now. And yes, there have been a lot of people that have suffered, lost their lives, gone through horrid abuse. But do you know what? I thank them. I thank them wholeheartedly, because it is because of their sacrifices we can stand here now and celebrate what they've done for us and remember them. So remember them wholeheartedly. Remember them. Remember them with every shot that you take. Remember them with every music that you dance to. Remember them with every time you jump up or down to music. Remember them. Remember them. Chant their names. Remember them. We walk in pride and we walk in their name. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Please make some noise for Harnam!
I actually want to do something. I actually want to do something right now. Now, I come from a Punjabi background, and yes, I come from a Punjabi background, and sometimes looking the way that I do, it can be hard for people to understand who I am or why I look like this. So I would love to send a snap to my parents to show them what I do and why I do it. Is that okay? Happy Pride, New York City! Happy Pride! Yes! Yes, Mum and Dad, look at this, Mum and Dad. Mum and Dad, look at this. Look at this. This is what we're here for. This is what we came for. And this is why we live. This is why we live. Thank you so much. You're amazing. Thank you.
Everybody, are you ready for your next speaker? No, New York City, I think you could do a lot better than that. Are you ready for your next speaker? Yes! Dr. Dr. Dimitri Daskalakis is the Deputy Commissioner for the New York City Health Department's Division of Disease Control. He is a career-long physician as well as a leader in HIV treatment and prevention and the LGBTQ health equality. Everybody, please welcome to the stage, Dr. Dimitri!
Hello! Hello, World Pride! Welcome to New York! So I am overwhelmed by the amazing beauty in the audience. I'm so glad to be here. And I am particularly excited to call in the history of where we stand and what it means for the work that we've achieved in New York City for ending the epidemic of HIV in our jurisdiction. The people who stormed the Stonewall, the people who rioted, the people who created Pride were the inspiration that fueled the energy of all of the activists that rose up when HIV became a challenge to our community in New York City and beyond. That energy from the Stonewall, from the experience of that riot, was transformed into true activism. The same energy, the same power that brought upon us gay liberation also brought upon us the force of ACT UP and all of the other important, or ACT UP! Let's hear it! It brought the energy into the world of medical activism. It was the energy that stormed the FDA and demanded HIV medications to help people live rather than live in fear. I remember coming to New York City in 1991 as a mere 17-year-old from Virginia and really looking to see what it was like here and the death and destruction that was around us. We will never have that again. Never. Because of the work, because of the energy, because of the commitment of our activist community, we are now standing in a city that boldly says that by the year 2020, we will end the HIV epidemic. Leadership is not just from government. It is from the activist world. It is from ACT UP. It's from TAG. And now from Prep for All that demands that medical interventions be provided to everyone for low or no cost at all. It is our, amen. It is our duty with our forefathers and foremothers that were right there challenging the infrastructure, speaking truth to power, that we continue that effort and really make it clear that our job is to make this generation different than mine. When I grew up in New York, when I came here and I was 17 years old, my life was defined by HIV. It was fear. I couldn't love. I was scared to love. My patients say the same thing. How liberating is it that we have technology and interventions that are really rolling out in this jurisdiction and beyond to make a difference? I need you all to answer a question for me. Who knows what undetectable equals untransmittable is? Hell yeah! That's right, New York. People who are living with HIV, who are virally suppressed, who are taking their medicines, and who are undetectable do not transmit HIV. They just don't. Individuals who are at risk for HIV, who take PrEP, cannot get HIV. They just don't. So why the hell is there a duality? People living with HIV and people at risk who do right by themselves are the same people. That duality between HIV negative and positive will end, and we will be the generation that ends it. If anyone thinks that they can end HIV without addressing stigma, they're wrong. Homophobia, transphobia, racism, sexism, those are the barriers that prevent us from achieving the dream. You standing here today proves that we can achieve the dream. So I need you to promise me one thing, World Pride. You need to live a status neutral life. Whether you're positive or negative, just do what's right by you. and the whole world will watch you lead the way to an AIDS-free generation. Welcome to New York. Thank you very much.
Damn. How y'all doing? No, New York City, I said, how are y'all doing? I said, hey, yeah. Oh, wow, 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 we are really trying it. Yes, a round of applause for yourself. That was excellent. A crowd full of performers. Hi, everyone. Briefly to introduce myself again, my name is Rose. It is an honor to introduce our next speaker. Our next speaker is the president and CEO of Planned Parenthood, New York City. As we all well know, Planned Parenthood provides health care to everyone who walks through their doors. Sexual education citywide, and of course is a fierce advocate for sexual and reproductive health and rights. Please help me welcome to the stage Laura McQuaid and Rio Sophia.
Oh my God, this is huge. Look at this crowd. Woo! Woo! I'm from Planned Parenthood, and I stand here today as an ally to each and every one of you here fighting for LGBTQ rights, for racial equity, for economic security, for abortion rights, because if you come for one of us, you come for all of us. The riot that happened right here 50 years ago kicked off a movement that we are still in the midst of today. Every day we have to fight again and again just to be heard and to be recognized for the people who we are. But that's not something we're ever going to stop doing. Since that historic day in 1969, LGBTQ communities have made critical civil rights gains and increased the visibility of queer issues and identities in our national discourse. And that is an incredibly important fight. But today, we find ourselves in challenging times again. And we have to dig deep, and we have to do again so many fights that Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera, trans women of color, whose shoulders we stand on today. We have to carry their fight forward to guarantee the future that we all deserve and want. We stand here today to celebrate you, to celebrate our collective work, and to celebrate who we are, who we love, our gender expression, our identity expression, and to say, no matter who you are, you deserve respect, you deserve health care. And that's what Planned Parenthood is here to provide to all communities. I don't have to tell you about the discrimination that LGBTQ communities face every day when trying to seek basic health care that so many others take for granted. And this discrimination threatens people because they may not seek the care they need for fear of shaming and having to teach their own providers about their own bodies every day. Stigma is a critical issue. We face it, all of us, every day, and we need to fight against it. I want to make clear, we are proud to provide gender-affirming care. We are proud to provide
all forms of HIV care, access to PEP and PrEP, especially to communities, to women, to communities of color who have less access to care than any other community. And we are working, and when we are not providing health care, we are in places like Albany, fighting shoulder to shoulder with you for the rights that we deserve. And this year, it looks like New York is trying to be the state it thought it was. We've passed some pretty incredible legislation this year in Albany, and I just really want to call it out because it's just a beginning, but it's a really important beginning. We banned conversion therapy for minors. It's amazing that in 2019, we had to ban such a hideous and shaming practice, but we had to do it to start and take that next step on our journey. We passed non-discrimination protections for trans and gender non-conforming people. We banned the disgusting so-called gay trans panic defense in court. And we required all state buildings to have gender-neutral bathrooms. Woo! We celebrate these milestones alongside each and every one of you, and we look forward to taking our journey forward to full recognition, to full inclusion, to the full elimination of discrimination and stigma. And with that, I am so proud to introduce our next speaker. Rio Sofia is not only an incredible activist, she calls herself a Planned Parenthood patient, and you cannot know how proud that makes me, and so happy I am to stand next to her today. So welcome.
Hello, everybody, and happy World Pride. So, I want to start off by thanking our corporate sponsors, T-Mobile, whose tireless work delivers outstanding and unparalleled wireless experiences to Pride participants throughout the country and across the world. This is the first rally I've ever attended with corporate sponsorship. I wish I could say that I was surprised by Heritage of Pride's decision to partner with T-Mobile for this rally, but let's face it, this is exactly what the corporate co-optation of Pride has led us to. For what it's worth, I want to remind everyone here that a rally is at its core a protest. It is and has always been fundamentally rooted in disrupting business as usual, challenging both the unconscious and deliberate violences marginalized people experience daily. A rally is anti-capitalism at its heart. But I'm here to talk about healthcare. My name is Rio Sofia, and I have been a fully formed, fully functional transsexual diva since 2015. Through the 4 short years that I have been transitioning, I have sought care at several clinics and care facilities in New York City with programs specifically designed for trans people. In this city, my friends and I have the rare experience of having some options when it comes to our care. Through these 4 years, I have witnessed and personally experienced how care providers struggle to wrap their heads around us, fumbling our pronouns time and time again, giving us misguided information about the drugs we take, performing allyship and solidarity while talking over us and refusing to hear the complex nuances of our needs, the complex, layered nuances we all share in our own ways as human beings. A tip to healthcare providers everywhere. The work to provide adequate and substantial healthcare for trans and non-binary patients gets a lot easier when you start by recognizing our shared humanity. To quote a great activist by the name of Aaron Lang, and I quote, "I resent the idea that trans people require some sort of unique and special upbringing or treatment on the basis of our transness alone. I understand this as dehumanizing. It perpetuates the idea that we are not of this world. When cis people gather around year after year to hear the same directives around supporting our lives, it is not concern, it is entertainment." End quote. Now, I can only speak to my experience, but since Planned Parenthood began providing health care for people like me in 2017, I have stopped having to shop around for providers to support my transition and my sexual health. At Planned Parenthood, I have never been misgendered, and when my ID and insurance card had a different name, I was always referred to by Rio Sophia. I've never felt rushed or ignored by the doctors and providers I've seen. And with that, I want to give a huge shout out to Sidney, Javier, and Kate. Those are my people at Planned Parenthood. And when my medication is ready, I get it on time. On my first visit to Planned Parenthood, I was asked a number of pertinent and useful intake questions. But perhaps most notably, I was asked about my reproductive desires. I was shocked. When you're queer, people don't want you to have kids. And when you're trans, people actively try to keep you away from them. Whether it be through barriers to employment within educational and childcare spaces, paranoid bathroom bills and trans panic laws, or the coerced, often state-sanctioned sterilization of trans people worldwide, we are conditioned to believe that we are inherently unfit to be around, much less raise children. As the reproductive rights of so many are under attack, it is critical that we acknowledge and fight for the bodies of those who have never had those rights in the first place. So I thank Planned Parenthood for fighting for me, for committing to continue to learn and grow alongside the constituents they serve, and for making navigating a broken healthcare system as a trans woman a bit easier. In the same way that Planned Parenthood has taught me that it is possible to expect more for myself, I want us to expect and fight for the healthcare the mothers of our movement, Stonewall veterans Marsha P. Johnson, Miss Major, Sylvia Rivera deserve. The healthcare black and brown trans sex workers deserve. The healthcare trans women behind bars deserve. These are the standards of healthcare that must guide us, that we must continue to fight for. Thank you.
Make some more noise for Rio Sophia! Such powerful words. Our next speaker is an American politician of the Democratic Party. He's the Speaker of the New York City Council and a City Council member for the 3rd District. Please give a warm round of applause for Mr. Cory Johnson!
Happy Pride, New York City! Happy Pride! My name is Cory Johnson, and I am the first openly HIV positive and openly gay man to be Speaker of the New York City Council. And tonight, we gather on this sacred spot where on a hot summer night 50 years ago, brave New Yorkers stood up to oppression and said, no more, not this time. They were asserting their rights as human beings little did they know that at that time they would ignite a global movement for equality. And every bit of progress we have made in the ongoing fight for equality is because of the activists who came before us, the activists who put their bodies and lives on the line. I know that I would not be standing up here today. I may not be alive if it were not for those activists. I'm here because Peter Staley chained himself to the balcony of the New York Stock Exchange and said, release the money for the antiretroviral drugs. I am here because Larry Kramer stood in the harbor in Fire Island with a bucket begging for money for people who are dying when the government wouldn't act. We are here, able to live our lives because of those activists and their bravery, because of people like Sylvia Rivera and Marsha P. Johnson who spoke truth to power, because of the movement they started and the movement we are part of. There is an old ACT UP saying, act up, stand tall, tomorrow morning at City Hall. Tomorrow morning I will be, or Monday, I will be at City Hall, a healthy, openly HIV positive, openly gay man in body and in spirit. And let us tonight, each one of us, let us act up every day for the rest of our lives to honor those activists who put their bodies and lives on the line. Audre Lorde, Harvey Milk, Bayard Rustin, Edie Windsor, Frank Kameny, Marsha P. Johnson, Sylvia Rivera, Ann Northrup, Gilbert Baker. Let's keep up the fight. New York City, New York City, New York City is the greatest city in the world. We are the greatest city in the world. New York City gave the world J-Lo, Barbara Streisand, and Lady Gaga. New York City is the home of the lemon ice king of Corona. New York City, 39% of the people who live in New York City right now, 39%, were not born in the United States of America, but came here with dreams and aspirations for themselves and for their families. We are a proud sanctuary city. Immigrants are welcome here. And not that far from here, standing in New York Harbor is the Statue of Liberty, holding a torch that has been a beacon for immigrants and asylum seekers and refugees for generations. Our diversity, our people, is what makes New York City the greatest city in the world. And 50 years ago, those brave activists, they stood on this street and they fought back. Progress is not guaranteed. Progress is won by fighting back, by coming out, by speaking out, by organizing. It was done before, it can be done again. This is our time. Let's keep fighting. Let's remain the greatest city in the world. Happy Pride, New York City. Don't fuck it up. Thanks.
Give it up for Cory Johnson! Everyone, our next speaker is Monica Helms. Yeah, give it up for Monica Helms! Monica served in the Navy from 1970 to 1978 on 2 submarines. Monica created the first transgender pride flag in 1999 and donated the original to the Smithsonian in 2014. She co-founded the Transgender American Veterans Association in 2003 for better treatment for trans people in the VA. In 2004, she was elected as a delegate to the Democratic National Convention, the first trans person from Georgia. Everybody, please welcome to the stage, Monica Helms!
Hello, New York, y'all. My wife and I are from Georgia, and question. We've been in New York for 4 days. Where's Spider-Man? Oh, okay. So, as you know, I was in the military. I'm a veteran. How many veterans and service members are out there today? Good. Okay. Now, we all know that for us, the most hallowed grounds is the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. And for us here in New York City, for the LGBTQIA community, this is hollow ground. 50 years to this very day, the riots started, and our movement started, and we are here because of that. We are here to show our pride. We are here to honor the people that brought us here, like Sylvia Rivera, Marsha P. Johnson, Miss Majors, and all the others that have been here. We are here to celebrate them, and it is very important that I help celebrate too. I have something special. I brought a flag that was made by the same company that made the original flag, using the same materials, using the same colors. And I am giving this flag to Stacy and Kurt. This flag is 8 foot by 5 foot. This is for the Stonewall Inn. This is to honor all the people that have been in there. This is honor Sylvia Rivera. This is to honor Marsha P. Johnson. This is to honor all trans and gender non-conforming people that have crossed the threshold of the Stonewall Inn over the last 50 years. We want to say we are proud, and I want to say I am proud to be here with all of you. It is a wonderful day, and thank you very much.
Gotta get a selfie. How are we feeling out there, everyone? It is good to see you. Okay, listen up. Our next speaker is a very important lady. Our next speaker organized the very first gay protest march that took place 1 month after Stonewall. That's right, that's right. She was one of the founders of the Gay Liberation Front and worked on and wrote for the GLF's newspaper, Come Out. Everyone, please help me welcome to the stage our next speaker, Martha Shelley.
Hi there. Okay, so before Stonewall, there had been other gay riots. I don't know how many of you are aware of that. Yeah. Okay? But they got nowhere. They died down because nobody organized afterwards. There were also very brave gay people who came out, who picketed at Independence Hall, and pleaded essentially for equality, and they got nowhere because they were trying to get accepted into mainstream America that wasn't interested. After Stonewall, 2 days after, I called the Daughters of Bilitis and the Mattachine Society and said, we have to have a protest march. One week after Stonewall, a bunch of us met in the offices of the Mattachine Society, and we named ourselves the Gay Liberation Front. And exactly 1 month after that, we had the first protest march. There were 400 people, at least according to the plainclothes police who were observing. And we ended up right across from the Stonewall, but that wasn't the end of it either. Marty Robinson spoke, and then I spoke, and I said, we're going home now, we're not doing another riot, but this is not the end, this is just the beginning. So we organized, we held dances that people could come to instead of going to the mafia-run sleazy bars. We put out a newspaper, we sold it on the streets. We picketed, we demonstrated, and even more important, we reached out to other organizations. We weren't just for gay rights, we reached out to the Black Panthers. We reached out to the Young Lords, which was a Puerto Rican liberation organization. We reached out to the women's movement, and wherever we found homophobia, wherever we found that, oh no, we don't want to be associated with the queers, we crashed their meetings, and we demanded our rights. We weren't pleading. We crashed the meeting of the American Psychiatric Association and made them stop labeling us as mentally disordered. And because we reached out to all these different organizations, because we picketed and went to anti-war rallies and stood in front of the Women's House of Detention when the Black Panthers were in prison there and when Angela Davis was in prison there, because we made those connections, we changed the left. And then we changed the mainstream to a certain extent. Obviously, there's plenty of so-called mainstream who have not had their hearts changed. Right now, as you know, as everyone here knows, we are under attack by an administration that would like to put us back not to the 1950s, but to the 1850s and bring back slavery. What it took to make that change was not people pleading, it was not politicians handing down our rights from Washington, D.C. It was not important people. We were a bunch of raggedy kids with no money. And we weren't scared because we had nothing to lose. But we weren't heroes. We weren't making sacrifices. I can't tell you what a joy it was to finally be out in the open and say, we're here, we're queer, and shove it if you don't like it. And now we're facing even more problems than we had back then. We are facing the possible end of habitability on this planet. So we've got to reach out to all the kids who are working for the environmental movement. All the Greta Thunbergs, who I wish I could vote for, except she's only 16 and in Sweden. All the kids, one of whom is going to be speaking tonight from Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, with the Black Lives Matter movement. So we've got the environmental crisis as the most important one. The second most important crisis is the fact that there are 26 individuals, 26 so-called human beings, who own as much as 3.5 billion people on the planet. They own as much as half the planet. And that, they gotta go. I am volunteering every one of them, plus Mr. Trump, for the Mars One expedition. I will happily give them one-way tickets. So we've got to fight the vast economic inequality that's much worse than anything we have ever seen. That's as bad as anything in the days of the pharaohs. We've got to fight those individuals and the interlocking corporations that they own that control the elections and the politicians and Congress. Every one of you has something to contribute. There are no individual heroes. There's no savior who's going to come down and hand you your rights. Where every one of us, every one of you, has got to stand up. Tonight we celebrate, tomorrow we celebrate, Sunday we celebrate, get laid, get drunk, have a party, and then go home and roll up your sleeves and fight.
Keep it going, Martha Shelley! We're here! We're queer! Shelley! All right, everyone. Now, we've been serving you some drag queens, right? You like the drag queens tonight? All right, but I think it's time that we have some drag kings grace the stage. Yes. All right, featuring Alex Ewan and Caitlin Marin as Mailman. They are international, multi-award-winning drag queen sensations from San Francisco. These handsome unicorns are the only old-school hip-hop and R&B live vocals drag queen performers in the world. They're known for their high-energy performances with political twists of their lyrics, and they are the real deal, even down to only sporting vintage Adidas. Give it up! Give it up for Mama's Boys! Yeah, yeah!
And I'll be free. What up, New York? You look so beautiful. Wow. I never knew there were so many white people. I'm only teasing. We know we have the diversity here in New York City, just like we have in San Francisco. Holla. We love you people. You are our sisters of the East. Not witches, just sisters of the East. All right, well, we're the Mama Boys, and we wanted to honor the ground that we were on and represent the people that are struggling and having a good time. We have an administration that is not for us. There is nothing about them that they want us to be safe and clear and clean and be able to be here in the United States and be our authentic selves without them being in our fucking business. We work too hard for all of the rights that we stand to lose. And unless you get out and vote, if every single one of you beautiful people told 10 people we can kick his ass because I see the crowd going all the way back. But it looks like a mile. Maybe not, maybe only one New York block, but hey. But no, seriously, we just really need to get out and vote. We cannot have 4 more years of this administration. We cannot have a fascist in the White House. We cannot have a racist in the White House. We cannot have somebody that's not respecting women and their bodies and their choices in the White House. And we cannot have our trans brothers and sisters going missing. We cannot have 369 trans women, mostly people of color, missing. We cannot have that for 4 more years. And if you think it's all right to keep that motherfucker in the White House, then get the fuck out. All right, I only had 10 minutes and that was probably it. Sorry, producers, but I've been not feeling well and you made me feel better, so thank you for listening. Thank you so much. We just wrote this song, and you are our beautiful family in our community, and we are gonna present our number to you and have you listen to it and have the first ears to hear it. It is called Frontline, and it means that you are each other's front line, and when the front line goes down, we stand it up with another line. And those motherfuckers will never break down the front line. So if you can sing with us when the chorus comes, Kayla knows the words.
It is, we are the front line, brothers and sisters to hold us up. And if we're falling, you are the front line, brothers and sisters to hold us up. And if you're falling, we'll hold you up.
Or you can go elephant, 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 just move your lips.
Just video it from
Hit
here.
it, DJ.
We are not alone. Been called a freak and told to go home. Brown skin, I can't conform. Who I love, I can't conform to the planet. Nobody is foreign. Everybody is a human being. They came for my whole community with laws to deny our humanity. Not gonna take one more thing from me without us fighting, 'cause we are the front line. Got my brothers and sisters to hold me up, and if I'm falling, you are the front line. Brothers and sisters to hold us up, and if you're falling, we'll hold you up. We are strong, we're proud. Let me tell you, human rights for some is not allowed. 'Cause when they come for you, they come for me. Generations fought to make a change. We know the struggle, we know the rage, and you are the front line. Got my brothers and sisters to hold me up, and if I'm falling, you are the front line. Brothers and sisters to hold you up.
Mic check,
And if
check.
you're falling,
Mic check.
we'll hold you up.
Call it a front line. We come in here, big Kayla, you have to take this, my throat.
Yeah. You are the front line. Don't let them take it away.
Don't call it a comeback. We've been here for years. Laying down spits that take you to tears. Roll it back, roll it back. History has found when we come together, civilization go to the ground. Believe the lies of hate, dogma that our situations hate. Love, like you wanna get there. Get gays, paid, or queer.
You are the front line. Got your brothers and sisters to hold you up. And if you're falling,
So
now we're
bear
gonna have
with
some
me.
fun.
All right, let's get it working. Let's have some fun up here. Oh, yeah. So we're gonna take it back a little bit. Back in the era of the time. Pack it up, pack it in, let me begin. I came to win, battle me, that's the sin. I won't give the fuck up, punk, you better back up. Kinda play me out, cause the whole will act up. Get up, stand up, come on, throw your hands up. If you got the spirit, jump into the spirit. Bugs is a fun flex, time to talking junk, yeah, I'll bust you in the eye. And then I take the punks home, feel it, funk it, hands in the junk. And I got 4 rides and a cops and a donkey. Donut shop, show much I got props. Kids in the hills and my mama, my pops. We came to get down, we came to get down. So get down, just need to jump around. Jump around. Oh, you look beautiful. Jump up and get down. Jump around. Jump up and get down. Jump, 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 jump. Oh, this is beautiful. Jump, 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 jump. Look out.
I never eat a pig because a pig is a cop, but better yet a Terminator, like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Trying to call me out like my name is Singer, and I ain't going out like no pumping. We're the power, and you might switch it up and down. Put it down, put it under it, and baby, wake up to the door of the dead. I'm coming to get you, coming to sweat you, spitting out lyrics, homie, I'll wet you. I came to get down, we came to get down. So get down, Tracy, to jump around, jump around, jump around, jump around, you beautiful people. Get up and get down. Jump, 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 jump. Oh, sookie now. All right, we're gonna keep a little bit of hip hop going here. Yeah. Yeah, here we go. Mama boys, I can explain. We take it frame by frame. To have you all jumping while I'm singing. Mama's with me, boys scratching the temple. The last C, well, that's not that simple. It's like another way. And what if you ain't into all that, kitten, and you want to bring a different kind of love to the party?
Motherfucker, look at you. Gotta take it back to R&B and shit.
You won't find her drinking at the table.
Cause she'd be drinking with me?
You won't rolling dice and staying out till 3.
It's 4, motherfucker, here in New York.
You won't ever find her being unfaithful. Cause you'll find her, you'll find
right
her
here.
next to me.
Right here.
You won't even find her chasing the devil.
I admit, I'm a devil.
For money, power, and fame, or for greed.
I'm not a greedy devil, though.
She don't even go where the girls go. Cause you'll find her next to me. Next to me. Oh, yeah. Next to me. Oh, yeah. Next to me. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you'll find her next to me.
You ever met a girl and had her on a nice hello? You get her name and number, then you're feeling real mellow. You get her way today, she's what you wanna know about. You call her up when it's her boyfriend's or her cousin's house. It's not a front, F-T-O-T-L-T-N-T-T. It's at her boyfriend's at her house. It's NBC time and what you wanna get it. There's no room for relationships, there's just room to hit it. How many brothers out there knows what I'm thinking about? Who thinks it's wrong cause I'm splitting over hitting that? Cause if you do, you're not mama boys and down with us. And if you are, here's your membership. You down with mama boy?
Yeah, you know me.
You down with mama boy?
Yeah, you know me.
You down with mama boy? Who down with mama boy?
Next to me. Oh, yeah. Next to me. Oh, yeah. Next to me. Oh, yeah. You'll find her next to me. Next to me. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. This has been wonderful.
Thank you.
So wonderful. Thank you for having us on your side of the coast. Appreciate you.
We've been traveling.
Yeah, we have.
We're 1,000 miles from comfort.
I gotta get the
We are
picture.
traveling to sea.
Selfie
But
time.
as long as you are with us, there's no place you'd rather be. I would wait forever, exalted in the sea. As long as you are with us, our heart continues to beat. With every step you take, Kyoto to the bay, strolling so casually. We're different and the same. Go by another name, just switch out the batteries. And if you gave us a chance, yes, we'll take it. It's a shot in the dark, but we'll make it. Know with all of our hearts you can break us, 'cause when you are with us, there's no place we'd rather be.
Put your hands together for Kayla Marin.
No place we'd rather be, 'cause when you are with us, there's no place we'd rather be.
My name is Alex, got a real funky concept. Listen up, cause I wanna keep you in set. I got an idea that I wanna share. You don't like it, so what? I don't care. I'm number one, uno, like Coma. Bring on the suckers, cause all them all stop. Boil the black, but I won't protect all my followers, cause all I want is respect. Not a doctor, put him in rapture. A slick brother that can easy out function. I'm Alex, the last name in ya. And on the mic, I'm known to be the best. So let's start, shouldn't be too hard. I'm not a sucker, so I don't need a bodyguard. I must pass. No place I'd rather be. Stonewall 50 World Pride Rally Stage.
So casually, we're different and the same. Go by another name, just switch out the batteries. If you gave us a chance, yes, we'll take it. It's a shot in the dark, but we'll make it. Know with all of your heart you can break us, 'cause when you are with us, there's no place we'd rather be. There's no place we'd rather be.
There is no place that we would rather be, but right here in this country, we should not have to go anywhere else, but live our authentic selves right here in our own country. We can be, and we don't have to go anywhere that people don't tell us to go. We have the power. We have the power. We have the power.
No place we'd rather. No place we'd rather be. No place we'd rather. When you are with us, there's no place we'd rather be. No place we'd rather be.
Do something, people.
No place we'd rather be. No place we'd rather. No place we'd rather be. No place we'd rather. When you are with us, there's no place we'd rather be.
Thank you for being here. Look, one of our Dyke sisters got this revelation going, got this riot going. She said, do something, motherfuckers, do something. Sorry I called you motherfuckers if there's little kids out there. I owe you $1.
Yes, y'all, give it up one more time for the Mama's Boys. That was absolutely incredible. Thank you so, so much. All right, our next speaker has revealed testimonials about a new LGBTQI purge in Chechnya last January and is doing research on Russian influence in the anti-LGBTQI movement in the EU and in the USA. As a young political scientist, he has been advocating for LGBTQI rights in Eastern Europe in plenty of international media. Please help me welcome to the stage our next speaker. It's Remy Bonny.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, after such a performance, it's difficult to tell such a difficult message, of course. Two men, one on my left and one on my right, both wearing black clothes and both holding a smartphone directed to me. When I was in the former Soviet Republic of Georgia last week, they popped up at least 5 times. I was there to assist the Pride organizers of the very first Pride March ever to be held in the region. In the last week, the Georgian Pride organizers received hundreds of death threats, got robbed, and their phones got hacked. Unfortunately, in the end, they had to postpone the march because of safety reasons. Let me be clear, in the last decade, the international network against LGBTQI rights was able to organize itself as never before. Fellow LGBTQI friends and allies, the fight for equality is not over. In the last 6 months, I have been doing research in the Central European country, Hungary, on the connections between high-ranking Hungarian government officials and Russian transphobes and homophobes close to Vladimir Putin. What I found was a network set up by the Russians to wage transphobia and homophobia all around the world. The fight against LGBTQI rights is an inherent part of Russia's foreign policy to undermine liberal democracy. The same people and institutions that are accused of influencing the presidential elections here in the United States and of the invasion of the eastern parts of Ukraine also pop up in my research on the anti-LGBTQI network. Since the 90s, the American-based World Congress of Families has been executing Russia's soft power strategy. With its close connections to many governments all around the world, including the current White House, they were effective in spreading homophobia and transphobia. It is not a coincidence that since Hungarian politicians are meeting with Russian officials throughout this World Congress of Families, that the country has constitutionally banned same-sex marriage, implemented a family policy on fostering the traditional family, and that the Speaker of the Hungarian Parliament has called child adoption by same-sex parents the same as pedophilia.